dude, because it's just like it's the point where it's like you get to a certain like extent with your past, and it's like how married are you to the things that you believe about how things went. Like you want to be married to the truth. You want to be and however that manifests itself, that's what it is. We don't have any like agitations against the truth. There just is what there is. So this situation now, you know, it here's what it is. It's a perpetuation of an eventuality. It's a perpetuation of eventuality. Okay. When you have a group that gets this decision making process into its system. So now the group is operating under some set of rules that dictate how choices are made and how viewpoints are held and all this stuff. And it's like you got to understand that group is going to operate under such a auspice without awareness. These are subconscious operations. It doesn't necessarily come in the realm. Nobody sits down and says this is how things are going to be now. It just kind of is like that. And that's the coalescence of group identity, right? This comes without having to try. Whenever if you're around a group of people for an extended period of time, you start to take on and embody that opinion that the group holds. So now groups that have this problem, this pathology, which typically starts with one person and then comes out and extends itself to the whole group, is that these people are unable to admit their own faults. So there is a need, a requirement to be able to handle the aspects of the self without acknowledging the worse, the lesser, the negative aspects. But the problem is we can't put away a part of ourself. You can't hide a part of who you are. It doesn't work like that. Now, what in a situation, what is done is that the group will offload their negative perceptions of their self onto someone else. So at least you can't destroy that because everybody does have good and bad parts of themselves. But what the tactic is, what the group does, and it's like a self-preservation tactic, right? So we're gonna say, right now we can't afford to have any negative traits, so we're gonna offload all of our negative traits onto this one person or this one group of people on a macro scale. And so what that does is it allows the group to continue to operate free of sin, free of guilt, because now you've offloaded all of the negativity onto this other entity, this one person. And so like you guys did that to me. You made me the one who is now bearing all of the negative fucking baggage that the family has. And it's like that person the thing is, once that's installed, once it's in place, that person has to continue to live up to that expectation. This is the thing. This is the funny thing that actually ends up happening, is that this starts off as an intentional, okay, now this person is going to be the one. I'm not saying people get together and do it, but it's like this coalesces. It's usually one person who's making the fucking advocating and getting the group to mobilize in that orientation. Now, what ends up happening, it's not necessarily a person that actually is, obviously that person isn't like all bad. I mean, it might be a great person, but for whatever reason, it's convenient to use them as a scapegoat for that, as an offloading, as a storage place for the negativity. And when you do that, but the problem is that person is also in the group. So they're going to start to take on those opinions as well. So if everybody's saying, oh, this person's negative, this is a bad person, this is a person that has all of the negative traits and no one else, everybody else is perfect, and that person is going to start to believe it too. If the person isn't aware of what's going on, all of this is like subconscious. So it's like, this is going on under the scene. It's like, it's happening inside of, this isn't verbalized. This isn't spoken. This just happens. But then you got to understand, like, so this person is now in a situation where they are being told that they're bad, that they're negative, that they don't have any good things about them. Now, it's not true, But what ends up happening is that with the momentum of that first of all, that person starts to take on those energies themselves, and then they will actually start to express some of that. So it will almost become true. It almost becomes a truth. Once the whole group says this is the negative person, those energies start to perpetuate themselves, and then that person is going to start to take on. It's actually going to become those things that people are saying that they are. It's a fascinating thing. And at the same time, there is incentive for the other group members to continue perpetuating, because once that's in place, people don't want to change that shit. People do not want to change that shit. So once it's there, you have to go. Now the group has to go out of their way to make sure that this person isn't getting away from this label. So it's like anything that person does that's good has to be ignored. And anything that's bad has to be amplified, and it's a justification. Anything that's bad is a justification. Actually, everything is bad. Everything that the person does has to, by definition, be something that puts them more towards that definition of who they are. Everything. So if they do something good, it's actually bad. If they do something bad, well, yep, we knew it. We knew he was like that. And so it's like this person is living in this like reality that is so false. And it's like, that's what happened. From 2016, maybe like 2015, up until the last time I saw you guys. That's what happened. So you did that to me. You put me in that position. You tried to make me into the scapegoat of the family. So then that Sheamus is in the golden child position. Riley, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Devin, you're just the lost one. Go after whatever. And so like you guys all are talking shit about me, disrespecting me, and being just generally trying to make sure that Patrick is the one that is carrying all this negativity. But it's like none of you know what's going on. You're too stupid. Most of you are very dumb. Papa, you're not. Devin, you're not. But the rest of you are stupid. And so you probably don't even know what you're doing. So that's where it's like, okay, there is a little bit of understanding for that. At the same time, half of you are sociopaths, right? So you actually are bad people. I think that Sheamus, you and Mama I think you're actually pathologically sociopathic. I think that this is just selfish, amoral, dishonest, and selfish. And all that fucking perpetuates itself. So it's like you get in that position. Those type of people are just going to do whatever they can to fuck. Like, so you would have watched me if that would have continued any longer. You guys would have gladly watched me die in a ditch, and as it was happening, you would have been like, first of all, you would have been cheering it subconsciously because in your world, in your mind, that's justified, and that's an eventuality. It was always going to happen. And it's just like I'm telling you, like the worst things would have happened to me, because that's what that energy would have been. The momentum would have been inside of me too, because you put that in my fucking head that's part of that. I have to be that, so I'm fulfilling that role almost. And then everything that happens is like just a justification for that pre-existing assumption. So it's like you guys will go out of your way. If I do something good, you're not going to. It's not actually good. It's actually bad. It's just crazy, man. And it's just like I can't even believe for being around that for how many years. That actually was a long time, and it wasn't a short amount of time. And it's just like it was like one of the more tumultuous and like uncertain periods of my life. And to have this many enemies show up from your closest family is just so devastating. It's so devastating to have my trust destroyed like that, like my perception of the world as a place where like your family has your back inherently. That's what's my assumption growing up. It's not true. And so like my worldview was almost getting completely changed from this. So I have to go back and look at like the way that I view other people. Like other people actually aren't good necessarily. Doesn't matter. Like your family, like your closest friends and your closest family might stab you in the back. And it's like that's a tough one to accept. But I mean, I guess it's a part of life to learn. But I think a lot of the anger that I have about that is just sitting here. It's that ideation, that ideal life that I thought was real isn't, because people will never be endlessly loyal. But it's good to know that. But it's just like the whole dissolution of my preconceived notions of the way the world works in thinking that people were actually going to have my back the whole time have just been shattered in the last like decade of my life. So it's interesting, but I just think knowing all of that, I think it'd be very difficult for anyone to wonder why I would have done anything that I did. So that's something. Whoever you are, you got to get away from that. That if you ever find yourself in a situation, run as far as you can.